Happy Monday morning to you. I am Tyler Keefe in the studios of 89.3 Lakes FM and Civic Center TV. This is the Oakland County Megacast. In addition, as always, we are on Birmingham Area Municipal Access and 88.1 WBFH The Biff. As always, I am joined from her home studio by Ronnie Dahl.
Tyler, it is Monday. Boy, did the weekend fly by.
Yeah, that's for sure. You have to tell me twice.
Did you do anything exciting?
Nothing all too exciting. Just a nice, relaxing weekend at home. It's a little bit of a chilly weekend, but I got outside for a little bit and went for a few walks. And other than that, just relaxed at home.
What about the Lions? Did you watch the game?
Unfortunately, yes, I did watch the game. And you know what? They didn't play horribly overall. Wasn't great. Wasn't good. But it wasn't bad or terrible either. The refs, once again, jobbed us. That non-catch by Marvin Jones was a catch. Marvin Jones is the greatest receiver in history of football. Let me just make that joke right now. It's an inside joke on our side over here. But yeah, Marvin made that catch. They don't call it a catch. Then you get down the line later on, and once again, the Lions just can't finish against the Green Bay Packers, and they get put in a situation where had Marvin Jones' catch been called a catch, Stafford probably doesn't make that same play he makes where he gets injured, and then you have that last drive being a Matt Stafford drive instead of a Chase Daniel drive. So, it's disappointing, but, NFL loves the Green Bay Packers. It's a historic franchise, and so, you know what? Just as always, you got to hand a quarterback in number 12 an easy win.
Well, with that, though, positive side, it could help them out with the draft, right?
That's the only positive, yes.
It's just all about how you look at things, Tyler. But obviously, huge news this weekend coming out of Pfizer as the vaccines start to roll out. And, it is pretty cool that this is happening partially right here in Michigan as well.
Yeah, really cool to see that they were filing out of that warehouse in Portage, Michigan on Saturday morning or Sunday morning, and starting to ship those first initial shipments of the COVID-19 vaccine out. We saw later on that same day airplanes leaving the airport to start flying those throughout the country, millions upon millions of doses of the COVID-19 vaccine as this process of getting America vaccinated against this virus begins this week.
And so with that, Tyler, that is pretty much our top headline of the day. So if you want to check out the latest headlines, just go to civiccentertv.com, click on that coronavirus tab, and then that's where we post the headlines. So as we were just talking about, 3 semi-trucks loaded with the nation's first doses of the COVID-19 vaccine rolled out of the parking lot of the Pfizer manufacturing plant early Sunday morning, met with cheering crowds of local residents who said they were proud of their hometown's contribution to science and helping to bring the end to the coronavirus pandemic. That is the good thing. The caravan of FedEx, UPS, and Boyle transportation trucks, led and tailed by unmarked police cars, pulled out of the parking lot about 8:25 a.m., headed to airports and distribution centers for that historic journey. Millions of doses of the company's coronavirus vaccine were inside those trucks and could be injected into the arms of the American people starting as early as this morning. Pfizer said it will deliver 6.4 million doses around the country, and its initial shipment, Michigan's share of that first delivery, Tyler, is roughly 85,000 doses. Troy Beaumont here in our area, locally in Oakland County, is going to be one of the hospitals to receive that first initial round of the doses.
Yep, they're going to start going around this week. They're going to continue to produce them, and we're going to start seeing those initial patients getting the first dosage of 2 of this Pfizer vaccine. It's, of course, going to be a long process before the general public gets this vaccine. It's going to, of course, begin with those on the front lines and those in situations where they are either fighting the virus, those on the front lines, of course, in the hospitals, first responders, and then those most vulnerable to COVID-19, such as seniors and those with other immunosuppression diseases and situations.
So there are going to be some crazy logistics involved in trying to distribute this vaccine, because the Pfizer vaccine has to be stored at extremely cold temperatures. So one of the reasons why certain areas and certain hospitals were picked first is because they're able to store them. And that includes, some of them are coming right here to Oakland County, because the Oakland County Health Department did Friday install 10 medical grade laboratory freezers capable of providing the extreme cold that the doses are going to require. The freezers, which cost about $400,000, are being paid for with Federal CARES Act funding. They can keep the temperatures as low as negative 86 degrees Celsius. One of the vaccines by Pfizer requires that it's going to be stored at negative 70 degrees Celsius. Each freezer can hold 144,000 doses of the vaccine. The freezers come as the Oakland County Health Division launched that public education campaign this week to emphasize how important it is to keep wearing your mask, avoiding gatherings, and stay home when sick until the vaccine is widely available. Now, the next vaccine that is still in the process of getting final approval is the Moderna vaccine. That one does not require storage in these extremely cold temperatures. That vaccine hopefully will be getting final approval in the days and weeks ahead. That also will help get to some of these hospitals in these areas that don't have the capability of storing the vaccine at these extremely cold temperatures.
Yeah, certainly that'll make the logistics of the initial wave of coronavirus vaccinations much simpler, not having to have that special equipment that can keep such low temperatures in the vicinity around these vaccines. Certain areas like Oakland County, who have purchased their own refrigerators for these, are going to be able to take in these vaccines and immediately store them and store them properly for an extended period of time. But other areas are going to have to bring those shipments in and immediately start providing those vaccines if they don't have the means to keep them at a certain temperature. So the Moderna vaccine, should it be approved in the coming weeks, would definitely be helpful in those areas that do not have the capability to properly store this Pfizer vaccine that requires such extremely low temperatures in order to maintain the vaccine.
So this next headline, Tyler, we were actually talking, it's been a couple months, I think now, to one of the students over at Oakland University, talking about this new technology that was going to be coming to the students and the faculty over at the college, and it is here now. Oakland University blazing the new trail and offering students, faculty, and staff the new piece of technology as an additional screening tool in the battle against the coronavirus. It's known as a bio button, and it's about like a coin-sized wearable medical device similar to a Fitbit. And it is constantly tracking an individual's vital signs. Growing, wearers are able to get an early alert when changes in their body suggest an infection such as COVID-19. It was launched by a startup company headed by the University of Michigan, a graduate over there. The device is being portrayed as a movie of someone's health versus just a snapshot in time measured by a test. Oakland University is among the first universities in the nation to offer the device to its campus community in an effort to control outbreaks of COVID-19. It is an interesting concept. And there is a lot of technology that is being developed coming out of this crisis.
Yeah, so many new technologies that are able to help track, of course, for the public health, keep people informed, keep people engaged in their communities. It's been one of the positives, I would say, to come out of this COVID-19 pandemic. Being able to communicate with people is certainly key in times of emergency, as this has been. And the bio buttons at Oakland University certainly are going to be able to provide some help with that on campus and in other areas that these devices may be used throughout the local area and throughout the country in order to help track COVID-19 in a way that's a little bit more personal to each individual than necessarily giving voluntary information to an app such as the state's COVID-19 app.
Yeah, I wonder too, though, this is an interesting concept. If it can actually help in to detect other changes in your body as well. So I know it was developed with the focus of COVID-19, but if it could help monitor your body and your heart rate and some of these other issues, if it could help alert you to other medical problems that you may be having that you don't realize at the time as well, could be life-saving.
Yeah, there's potential for this to be redeveloped after the COVID-19 pandemic or as the pandemic winds down to either be multifaceted and track COVID-19 symptoms, but also potentially, if it can be manipulated to track other health issues, this could be something that could be very useful for people that have certain diseases, degenerative diseases that can be tracked to see if they have made negative progress with that disease. For regular people like you and I that want to track symptoms coming on for the common cold or the flu and trying to keep themselves and other people around them safe with that, and maybe see signs of those symptoms through this bio button before they even show up visibly in you. This could be something that could be revolutionary, really, if it's put to good use and if that's even possible.
Well, the thing I like about this too is if you're the only individual getting that information and it's not being shared, you choose to share it and then maybe get tested or have your health checked. I think that's a good thing because we have kind of seen Apple, the latest Apple Watch is doing some of these things where it can track your heart rate and other portions of your body and this, that, and the other. So it's interesting how this technology is working. Also, Tyler, I noticed they were talking about a new app that will track basically if you got the vaccine. So it would kind of work like a boarding pass. I don't know if you have Clear at the airport that allows you to get on, do the fast screening at the airport. So it would basically work like that, where if you got the vaccine, you would have an app and you would be able to show it to different entities and organizations to show that you had received the vaccine that then could allow you access into different venues or plays or things of that nature. Would you be down with that?
I think that's something that people have to decide individually. I personally would be fine with that. If I'm going to go to place A, event B, whatever the case may be, if I'm going to go to one of these events and they're requiring that everybody there has assurance that they are fully safe from COVID-19 as this pandemic goes on, then that's a trade-off I'd have to be willing to make in order to go to these things. And if that's the case, then sure, I would show verification that I've been vaccinated. And if that were to make me uncomfortable, then I would simply just not go.
I'll tell you what, though, I would be ticked if I bought a ticket to a concert or a sporting event, got there, whipped out my app to show I had the vaccine, but then for some reason, the app's not working or you don't get a cell phone service. That happens, a lot, especially when you're in these large crowds as well. I'd be like, no, really, I had it.
Yeah, that would be frustrating. That'd be frustrating. That's something that these businesses, that these companies are going to have to prepare themselves for, are situations like that where they're going to need to be able to deal with people that maybe cannot get a connection to the app, or the app goes down, and all of a sudden, okay, well, we can let certain people in that have physical verification that they've taken the vaccine, but those that are going over this app aren't going to be able to get in. How are we going to make sure that this is worth their while? How do we refund them for these tickets? We give them opportunities for free tickets to another event? Do we just let them in and take the risk? That's all something that these companies that would use something like that would have to decide beforehand, because these problems are going to arise.
It's so many things to talk about as we continue down the coronavirus crisis, but obviously, again, a little bit of hope here as the vaccines are starting to roll out and they will start to be distributed as early as today. So you'll find those headlines and so much more if you just go over to civiccentertv.com, click on the coronavirus tab, and then also you can get direct links to the resources that you need as well, including the CDC, Oakland County. You can click on there for their latest information and their latest news as well. We have been working to try to get the Oakland County executive on the show. His schedule has just been so busy. So we're hoping to get him on Probably not going to happen today, but hopefully tomorrow or the next day so that he can talk so much more about the vaccine and the rollout here in Oakland County. So with that, though, we have a great show for you today on this Monday. A lot to get to. We'll be speaking with the West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce and also then the Friendship Circle, Dakota Bread. What's happening with them for the holiday season. And that's just in the 10 o'clock hour. So we'll go ahead and take a quick break here on the Oakland County Megacast. And then when we come back, we'll get the show started.
This may seem uncomfortable, but so is being hooked to an IV, sleeping in a hospital bed, and fighting for your life. When it comes to COVID-19, comfort is not as important as saving lives. Wearing a mask can greatly reduce the chance of spreading the virus. So mask up, Michigan, every time you leave home.
As rivals, we don't always see eye to eye.
Like who scored the best recruits?
Who's gonna be who?
And whether we wear green
or blue.
But one thing we can all agree on, to help stop the spread of COVID-19, wear a mask.
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 The ball's in your court, Michigan.
Great to have you with us on the Monday edition of the Oakland County Megacast. As a reminder, you can catch Tyler and myself 10 a.m. to noon here on Civic Center TV, Birmingham Area Municipal Access, Channel 15 on Comcast, 99 on AT&T. You can also tune us in if you're out driving around on the radio, 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 FM The Biff. And today, our Facebook partner of the day is the West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce. They are allowing us to live stream today's edition of the show on their Facebook page. We want to say thank you to them. And also, we are going to start off the Monday edition of the Oakland County Megacast with Suzanne Levine, the executive director over at the Chamber. Suzanne, always great to have you with us.
Thank you so much. And how are you on this sort of gray Monday morning?
I will say I'm ready for snow.
Yeah, I think we want to see something, as long as it isn't like 10 inches and we can't, we're even more locked down than normal.
That is true, but at least, if we can get it now and then let it end maybe, January 5th, that would be good.
Yes, that would be great. I'll put my order into Santa and see if he can accommodate it.
Thank you so much. With that, Suzanne, I know that we've talked to you numerous times throughout the pandemic, but for you guys, it just must feel like it doesn't end because you're constantly trying to find new ways to help some of these businesses.
Yes, it's sort of like the never-ending story. They finally, they start to get their business going and then something happens and they're locked down again. And we've lost quite a few businesses. It's just so sad. And sometimes I feel so helpless.
But with that news of the vaccine rolling out, does it give you some type of hope, or is this just really kind of too late too for so many of the businesses?
Yeah, unfortunately for some of the businesses, they will never recover from this. We've had quite a few closures. I always am trying to do whatever I can. And the Chamber in January is going to roll out a new kind of community business outreach program where I'm going to try to become even more involved, invested in their businesses to try to stay, keep them vibrant, because we know without these businesses, our community will fail.
So with that, Suzanne, what do you think the businesses can be doing that they haven't already been doing during this crisis?
Well, I think, many of them are really, trying via, coupons and ads and incentives. I've been trying to, get them to post more videos of their store and advocate that they will, deliver to people's homes, show more of their merchandise via these videos. and basically, try to contact me so that I can put them in touch with the rest of the community and other businesses that maybe they can do business with.
So it's a time of collaboration.
Right. Like business matchmaking, which I've always kind of highlighted as our strength. And sometimes they're two businesses you wouldn't think could collaborate, like the pizza owner with the real estate agent, and having the real estate agent contact the young pizza owner and saying, hey, this person just moved into the neighborhood. Why don't you deliver a free small pizza and put welcome to the neighborhood? And, here we are if you ever, need home delivery.
That's a smart way to think about it, because it is true, when you move into a new area, you don't know what's around you.
Right. So just, trying like everybody else to reinvent our business, because the chamber is a business. At the end of the day, we're a small business like everybody else, trying to figure out how to stay vibrant and relevant.
And with that, have you seen your membership drop or increase during this time?
It's been kind of an interesting ebb and flow. Some of the businesses that we were hoping could survive, like some of the smaller salons and restaurants, they're failing. They're just not getting the kind of business. The carryout business is just not enough to sustain them. But then we have gotten some new businesses that realize that they have to start connecting with the community, and what better place than a chamber that can hopefully connect them, either through my direct business matchmaking or a senior resource group, our business innovation generator, our women's innovation group. And we're going to be starting in January, as I say, this whole new program. And one of them is going to be Ask the Expert, where we're going to get experts in our attorney, a finance person who for 15 or 20 minutes will talk about their business, and you can ask questions, and hopefully that will lead to them getting some more business.
Yeah, I think one area for so many of these business owners to really explore and to realize the power of is the power of their media, the power of social media, and how to effectively use that. But it requires them to not just take a picture and post it, but to have some personality behind it, to figure out what their brand is and how to reach people that way.
Absolutely. And I think part of the problem is they're so busy. A small business doesn't have the resources to hire a marketing company and hire all those additional services that can help build their business. So we're going to try to help them as much as we can, even by creating little 15-second videos and putting them on Facebook or any other social media that we can find for them.
Suzanne, can we talk about some of the grants that have been offered? I know that they are out there, but the money seems to go so quickly when they are offered that a lot of businesses aren't able to take advantage of them.
Yes, I've been sending all of our chamber members grants from Oakland County, and Oakland County just contacted me that they are trying to see what equipment restaurants could potentially use to, transition to an outdoor kind of facility with heaters and tents and everything else. So I sent that out to our chamber members, hoping that they haven't guaranteed that they will buy them for the restaurants, but they want to understand what the need is. So this is a great resource. Oakland County is fabulous. They have all kinds of resources. They have grants. I've sent them out to our chamber members, but you can always go to oakgov.com and try to find out what's going on. They always have some kind of new initiative, and you can talk to someone and they can help walk you through the grant. I mean, they're really just really great. John Wolf over at Oakland County is a fabulous resource, and people should be taking advantage of it. This is what your taxpayer dollars are funding, and they want to be that resource for the community.
Yeah, but we're hearing about some businesses that try to apply for these grants, and within 15 minutes, they'll already have to shut it down because, the money has been given out that quickly.
I know. I think they need to contact their local representative and find out why this is happening, because it doesn't seem like some of the money is getting to the people that really need it. And, I don't know if these other people have accountants and lawyers that are filling out this paperwork for them, but I think they need to contact their local representatives. I know that Some of them have been they want to know what's going on. So they should find out who that is that represents their district and, send out an email to them or call them and say, what can you do to help me? I'm struggling here. And I don't know why I'm not even being considered for even a small grant.
Suzanne Levine with us here on the Oakland County Megacast. She's the executive director for the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce. The chamber also our Facebook partner of the day. Suzanne, we're going into the holiday season. Any hope there for some of these businesses?
Well, I've been trying to promote, support your local businesses because they are the backbone of our country too, the small little businesses. And we know that, because of Amazon, even prior to this, it was putting a dent in some of our local businesses. But we have such unique businesses like Toyology, like Lash Lounge, like Slades. There's so many on the boardwalk, Sundance Shoes, Rear Ends. There's lots of small businesses that people can support to try to, help them survive this, this terrible pandemic that has just put such a terrible burden on us physically, emotionally, intellectually. I mean, really, I can't imagine anything else other than the murder hornets, which decided to wait until next year, I'm thinking, to invade us. So, I really urge everyone to look around your community and use these small local businesses and help support them during this time.
And it must be so frustrating for them to go into some of these big box stores. Like I was in Target yesterday. It was packed.
Right.
I mean, it was crazy packed. And you're thinking, wow, if only, 5 people in here decided to do just that, go
Right.
to one of these small stores, especially like the toy section was
Right.
crammed.
Toyology, I don't know if you've ever been there. That is the most amazing store. It's sort of like FAO Schwartz on steroids. They have everything. It's a small store in Orchard Mall, and I did quite a bit of my shopping there. They have things that you won't see at Target or Walmart. I did see an interesting meme where people said, since we're not allowed to have a gathering at Christmas, let's all meet at Target or Walmart at 3 p.m. in aisle 31. So there is a bit of, I don't know if I want to call it hypocrisy, but it's some of the rules sometimes don't make sense. I understand why they have them, but when you can go shop at like a Home Depot or a Walmart or a Target or a Meijer, but you can't be with your family, for a family dinner or occasion. It does make people, question what's going on.
Yeah, I Bed Bath and Beyond yesterday, there was an actual line outside to get into that store because I think they were keeping a limit of so many
Right.
people that they were allowing in the store. And I will tell you, I was thinking, there is absolutely nothing that I need at Bed Bath and Beyond that I need to stand in line for,
No,
right?
absolutely. That's the way that I feel. As I say, I've been trying to patronize our small stores because they have a selection that you won't see at some of the big box stores. So I'm hoping that, whether it's the vaccine or whether it's the treatment or that whatever it is, that somehow, next year it's a brighter future and that some of the small stores that weren't able to survive, maybe they can get funding to restart and jumpstart their business. And, I'm very concerned because, I talk to these people all the time, especially the gyms and some of the hair and nail salons that have done everything to try to be safe. But, people are afraid, which I understand. But then they're not afraid to go, like you say, to a Target or a Bed Bath and Beyond or, a Costco. So, they should be safer in a small store where they really can limit who's in there.
Yeah, so this isn't even so much about the restaurants. We forget there are a lot of stores that are still allowed to be open.
Mhm.
However, people are not patronizing them like they used to.
Right. So as I say, I'm trying to do whatever I can to, reach out to them and try to get them to put more on social media and highlight the clothes and services that they offer that you can't get from a large store, plus the personal attention, which, we know that you're not going to get at a big box store. I mean, you'll wander around and you're lucky if you can find anyone to help you.
So with that, Suzanne, tell us what is your work life like right now? What's a day in the life with you there at the chamber?
Well, typically I'm fortunate because, I'm in the office by myself, so I can go in and do my work, see if there's any mail, start to do my e-blasts, see if there's any phone calls. I get a lot of emails. I answer all of them right away, and then start calling on our members and seeing what I can do to help them. And as I say, trying to formulate a plan, what I can do starting in January to really jumpstart our economy locally. And I love working with Oakland County. They have a lot of resources. They have that Oakland County One-Stop Shop, the business center, and they're amazing for people that are looking to start businesses or are in the middle of their business, their small to medium-sized business. They will go through your business plan. They'll look at, see, what they can do to help you. They are amazing. It's one-on-one. So I always urge people, to contact them and then come back to me, or vice versa. I just think that they're not using the resources that are available to them.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just don't understand what is out there. But, and then like you said too, it's about that they don't have a lot of time to spend in that research mode.
Right.
So that's why something like the chamber is so important, or just reach out to other businesses to see what they're doing and how they're surviving. So with that, just a couple more minutes with you here on the Oakland County Megacast. Any happy successes during this that you can think of, or any businesses that are actually doing pretty well?
Yes, Toyology is doing amazingly well. They're really, as I say, they're the most amazing shop. Sundance Shoes is doing well. I guess women really need their shoes during a pandemic. We do have some successes, and it is always hopeful when I have like a new member join the chamber. We have a business ambassador program, and part of, as I say, this new rollout that I'm going to be doing, and I haven't even told my chamber board yet, so if they're watching, they're going to go, oh, that's interesting. But I'm going to start connecting members of our board to chamber members to see how they can help one another. Like I'm the one-on-one also, but I think when there's more expert advice we have a financial advisor, we have the head of Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital, Eric Wallace, that is joining our board. We have someone from Connect Pay who has saved our chamber a lot of money in payroll. So I'm going to start connecting them just to have conversations. Just like a one-on-one, hey, I'm on the board. What can I do to help you? How can we help each other? So I'm just trying to figure out another touch point for our business community to realize there is help out there. And maybe there's something that I'm not even aware of that some of our board members can assist them with.
Suzanne Levine with us here on the Oakland County Megacast. Suzanne, before we let you go, anything you want to talk about or mention before we let you go?
Well, I want to thank, first of all, Motown Digital and Civic Center TV and all of you. You're doing such a fabulous job for our community. I don't think people realize what a fabulous resource you are. And I want to let everyone know that January 15th, we're doing our installation of our board. And thank you, Civic Center TV. You're going to be covering it. I have to talk to all of you about the new format that we're going to be using for that. It's different than Zoom, but it's going to be on Civic Center TV. It's going to be on Lakes FM 89.3, and it's also going to be on our Facebook Live. And we're going to do like a fun twist. And Ronnie, thank you. You're going to be the host. And we have Judge Diane D'Agostini, District Court 48th District Court Judge, who loves installing the board. So, and a few surprises. So I hope everyone will tune in. It'll be at 8:00, and more information will be forthcoming.
Oh yeah, well definitely. Once it gets closer and we get through the new year, we'll be talking about that a lot more. But Suzanne, I know that so many of your members appreciate what you're doing, because it has to feel like you're not going into the office and just doing 8 to 5 any longer. It's like an around the clock job for so many people such as yourself and others.
well, I'm happy to do it. That's what I'm here. If I can keep a business alive for another day, week, month, year, then I've done a great job. So I'm wishing everyone a very happy and safe holiday, and, hoping that 2021, we can turn everything around and, find a different kind of normal, but hopefully it's even better than the one that we were used to.
Yep. And let's also hope that some of these smaller businesses that were able to survive can thrive in 2021 because they built those relationships with the community to have them keep coming back. Hey, quickly though, Suzanne, I do want to ask you, how are businesses doing on employees? I know that some of those retail outlets and things that were struggling to get employees. Is that still the case, or is that kind of leveled out now?
They're still looking for employees, because between people being afraid to go to work, part of that's, the case. I know there are people that are looking for work, but they're not really looking for those, working in a shop. They're looking for higher level jobs. But right now, seems to be like a hiring freeze at some of the executive levels. So, maybe they don't want to do that, but in the interim, I would suggest that they just look at that so that they are working. It always looks better on your resume to have something, even if it's an interim job. And I think, the hours are more flexible in some of these smaller businesses too than they would be at some of the larger companies.
And on top of that too, I always look at any job, it's the conversations and the people that you meet,
Right.
that you're going to have that where you wouldn't have it if you were sitting at home.
Right. I mean, it's, it's your brain starts to atrophy, if you're just at home. How many meals can you cook and how much cleaning can you do? I mean, a lot, but, after a while you start to go crazy. So I think it's good to get out of the house, even for a walk. But yeah, some of these small shops, these boutiques are so much fun to work at. You get some really interesting people and conversations. Plus they're so beautiful. So I would suggest that they look around and see if there's something, even during the holiday, just to get out.
It helps everyone. It helps yourself and it helps the business as well.
Right. I mean, how depressing it is if you have no reason to get up in the morning. I mean, that's got to be very depressing.
Oh, well, we are hoping that everyone is doing okay, though. We are going to be we'll have that conversation a little bit later as well. And in the week, we'll be talking about mental health issues during this pandemic. We've touched on it before, but as it continues to carry on, the issues do not go away. So we'll be talking about that a little bit later as well. Suzanne, thank you for being with us here on the Megacast.
Well, thank you so much. And stay safe, stay well, and continue doing the great work that you're doing. It's most appreciated.
Well, thank you so much. We're lucky to have people such as yourself on the show. And again, one of the reasons the Oakland County Megacast was born was to try to be able to bring you long form interviews such as this so that you can get the complete information yourself and not from a 10-second soundbite. So we're happy to do it. Suzanne, have a happy and healthy day.
You too. Thanks again.
We're going to take a quick break here on the Oakland County Megacast.
Michigan, the coronavirus pandemic has put us all to the test. And now it's time to put COVID-19 to the test. As we move forward, testing will be critical. We encourage anyone who has reason to get tested to do so, those with symptoms and those without. If you are leaving home and going back to work, get tested. If you think you may have COVID-19 or you've been exposed recently through family, friends, or coworkers, get tested. Our test locator tool can help you find the right testing site that fits your needs. Even if you're looking for easy access with no cost, no prescription, and no appointment necessary, we've got you covered. Help Michigan move forward, not backward. To find a testing site or learn more, visit michigan.gov/coronavirus test. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. Michigan, we still need to stay careful because we don't want to go backwards, back to where we started. So keep standing 6 feet apart. keep wearing a mask in public. And if you have symptoms, talk to a healthcare provider about getting tested. To move forward, let's all do our part. So stay careful. Michigan.gov/coronavirus.
It is a Monday on the Oakland County Megacast. Tyler and I are here Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. until noon, working to bring you information by all of those impacted by the coronavirus crisis, as we are now 9 months into the pandemic. And joining us now on the Oakland County Megacast is Bassie Shemtov. She is with the Dakota Bread Company in the Friendship Circle. Great to have you with us.
Thank you.
I know that we talked a little bit before about Dakota Bread. I love what you guys are doing over there. Bring us up to date.
Yeah, so we are now open just over probably 6 weeks since we purchased Dakota Bread. And it has been, I have to say, one of the most incredible rides Friendship Circle has taken so far. And the coolest thing that I could say is that it feels like the entire community is rejoicing and celebrating in this acquisition. And having that sense that we really are a family has been overwhelming in a very positive way.
You know what? It's so nice to hear that, because it's some positivity, something good, where it can feel overwhelming for people, and with all the negative news, and it can be heavy at times. So this is so uplifting to hear.
It's awesome. Like, honestly, I like to just have to be at Dakota to have meetings, even though it's COVID. So we've got to be careful. I have to exit the store, come back in, but just to be around that energy of people walking in excited to buy bread because it's Friendship Circle. It's special.
They're supporting a great cause.
The real team.
I just think there is nothing like the smell of bread baking. It is incredible.
Yeah, it really is.
So with that, tell us a little bit more about the process and who you hire and how you actually get the bread out to the public.
So at the first month or so, we really focused on just taking the business and keeping it to the great business that it has been before we purchased it. Making sure that we got all the kinks out just once, changing hands, making sure that everything is being done the same way, because all of the challah and all of the bread is the exact same. And thank God people have just been literally buying it off the shelves and loving it. So that has been awesome. The part that we just started piloting 3 weeks ago, was to pilot and bring individuals with special needs to train them to work in the bakery. And one of the best little sound bites that we got from one of our participants, Sam Morris, he's one of our trainees. After the first day of being trained, before he went into his car, he told our trainer, Lisa, "I'll be back in 45 hours. It's every other day, so it's 45 hours to the exact minute later. And that's Sam. Sam has his time in his calendar. Really, he knows it really well. Super social and so genuinely excited to work and to do a good job, focus. So we have our training program. That's a 6-week program. And we are already discussing what we're going to do in January, because that's when our pilot 6-week program is over. And giving adults with special needs the opportunity that they otherwise do not have to come work in a typical bakery alongside every other typical staff person is an opportunity that's miraculous. And when you see the growth, pretty quick growth, although they need a lot, a lot of our individuals with special needs need a lot of practice and consistently practice repetitive tasks over and over until they get it right. They're learning through respect and through space and really understanding what needs they have. If are getting anxious, give them a break. So it's just the beginning, and we are really on a very good road to having a good program happen over here.
And it probably means so much to them as well. But how is the training going during this COVID time?
One of our participants have those, that like literally spaceship headgear with the oxygen blowing. So one of them uses that because he's very anxious with the pandemic. The other three that are currently in this training program, they're wearing their masks, and we're being careful. Everyone's just being as safe as possible, and really monitoring everything. And thank God it's been okay. But it's a much smaller group because of COVID. We're going slower and just not jumping into it, making sure everyone's comfortable. Obviously, this is a family decision, but just like anybody else is working, they also have to get out and get to work.
How many loaves of bread do you guys make each and every day?
I've heard the 1,200 mark a day.
Wow. So what time do they get in there in the morning?
We have one of the lead bakers are there at 2 a.m. and the crew is there as early as 5, 6 in the morning.
Oh my goodness gracious. And this is open to the public, right?
Yeah, this is open to the public. It's open Monday through Friday. And we have everything from the regular pastries and breads and challah that everybody knows Dakota Bread for. And we also now just put up our special Friendship Circle Soul Center display of some of the artwork translating into like gift boxes and tin cans with our special newest edition of our Sweet Hugs cookie.
So what's a Sweet Hugs cookie?
So Sam Morris as well is one of our known artists at Soul Center, at the Soul Studio. And he created this great image that has really been spread all over of two people, stick figures of two people hugging. And it's in a heart. And then he does lots of other drawings with that same style, that same theme. And it's all about love and hearts and happy and positivity. Sam is full of positivity. So we created these cookie cutters and stampers that are hand painted and created a special Sweet Hugs cookie. And then we ordered these round tin cans, beautiful, where 2 of these Sweet Hugs cookies goes into. So that's like a great Hanukkah holiday, gift that people are purchasing. And we also have another gift box fully decorated with one of our artists' works, with Andrew Lipsitz's work. And in there we have the baked goods with a mug from Ben Hirsch and a little bit of light pushes away a lot of darkness, bread towel by Leah Pollack. And it's just like an amazing gift box for the holidays. So we have this whole wall of displayed from our participants' artwork. And we've gotten really great feedback that coming into Dakota Bread now is just like a new look, a new, fresh, happy, positive place to look around while they're waiting in line. And we encourage people to come and get those gifts for your friends, family, coworkers, whatever you need it for.
Yeah, the talk right now is really about supporting local. But in this way, you're not only supporting local, you're also supporting a great cause. So for those not familiar with the Friendship Circle, give us a little bit of background on that organization.
So Friendship Circle began in '94 with just literally 8 volunteers and a couple of families that have children with special needs. And the idea was really to give just an hour and a half of respite for our family. And before we knew it, 3-4 years into Friendship Circle, we had our aha moment. And that was when we found out that this was a win-win, and that the reason why we had too many volunteers at the time and not enough children is because the volunteers could not get enough of this incredible, unconditional love, non-judgmental style that we are able to get when we are around people with special needs. And that grew really quickly over the past 26 years. Thank God there are now 90 friendship circles around the country and the world, all following our model here in Michigan. So it's really been a place where teens, adults, both with special needs and volunteers that are able to connect at a soul level, the way we explain it. The superficial part of the regular day-to-day life that we experience in the regular society, when you're with somebody that has special needs, a lot of that superficial stuff disappears. And what really matters is what is expressed between that connection.
It's the heart to heart, right?
Yeah.
So with that, Bassie, how do you explain to someone with special needs about COVID-19 and not being able to reach out and maybe hug them or touch them? It can make for someone has to feel a little uncomfortable, right?
Yeah, but it's interesting. When you're talking about the adult community of special needs, they're incredible. They all get it better than the typical adults out there. They're more willing to take the law and to take the guidance and to take the safety precautions and say, I'm going to take this seriously. They don't mess around. They're not looking to rebel or go against things. They're cautious. If anything, their anxiety, could be, it could be difficult in this kind of time. They're definitely concerned. But it's been great. We've had small pods in our studio, and thank God everybody's with their masks, washing their hands, being very careful, socially distant. So they've been incredible.
So go into some of those programs that you do have over at Friendship Circle.
So we have everything from our Soul Studio, where we have pods of artists that will come the morning session, and we divided it so more people get a chance. And then we have an afternoon session of only 6 artists per time, being really careful in our pretty large building. So it's thank God been really safe, and it's been working very well. At our Mirror Center with our children's programs, we also have small pods of 5-6 kids per pod, and all of the staff are constantly socially distant with all the masks, with all the precautions. But thank God we are able to have the in-person, very small and controlled groups, as well as we still are doing lots of virtual programming that shockingly is, thank God, working really well. And we also do several package pickups. So we have boxes of the art supplies, and the artists could come pick it up and then really feel more connected because they're getting the supplies, as well as care packages, holiday packages, baking packages. So drive-throughs, just constantly trying to find creative ways to show our children, our families, our volunteers that we are here as their real family. And we will do whatever we have to just connect and have fun and try to kind of overlook the difficulty as much as possible.
So, and during this time, getting creative and trying to find different ways to reach out to people, has there been something that's been positive that you think will stick around with how you do things post-pandemic?
Very interesting. Well, one interesting thing, a little bit off topic, but for the first time, our entire staff, for about 8 months, just until a few weeks ago, we switched it to weekly. We met every single morning on Zoom, and we never had our entire team together. And it actually has done a lot of good. It brought us together in a really great, a stronger team family way, as well as got us more creatively thinking of more ideas and what else could we do to help our community. So that was a very interesting thing that will definitely help us beyond. And then the connections and relationships, being that we had no choice but to kind of shrink the size of all of our programs, it really gave our incredible staff the opportunity to connect in a very meaningful way because they just had more time on their hands. So, we're going to take what we learned in this very difficult time and hopefully expand on it, grow with it, grow from it, and learn that we're not in control of the world.
We have all had to take that pause during this time, right? Bassie Shemtov with us. She's the co-founder of the Friendship Circle. Do you want to talk a little bit about how are you dealing with volunteers and fundraising during this time?
So, lots of hard work, but thank God we have the coolest community here in Michigan, the best, literally the best huge family that anybody could wish for, a family that really takes responsibility of the people that live in their community. So with a lot of hard work, thank God, our volunteers are still there doing what needs to get done. Our donors are really keeping up with us. Of course, some are having a more difficult time than others, and everybody understands that. But we have other donors that understand that it's more difficult, and they're chipping in to really help support and make sure that we could remain strong and be there for the hundreds and some thousands of people that are relying on us. It's like we don't have a choice. So whatever we have to do, we've got to figure it out to whatever extent we could do it. If we have more support, we could do a little more, but we've got to be there.
So I know that in years past, you would also do the big walk to bring people together. Were you able to do that this year?
Thank God we were. We did the sign still. Our families, most of them were still able to work really hard and pull in those funds. We did it differently. It was basically done virtual, but kind of a hybrid. We went and dropped off activities from bounce houses to entertainers to music to food, drive-through breakfast. So we really tried to keep the components that we always had. It was different. And to be honest, some parts of it were really interesting. Every family had their own mini walk in their communities and their subdivisions. And it was just a very heartwarming kind of feeling. Again, showing that we're here no matter what.
Yeah, I live off of the West Bloomfield Trail.
Ooh.
And so we saw a group on the trail during that time as well. But going forward, do you think that you were able to manage and grow in some regards during this time because of your relationship that had already been established with the community?
Dakota Bread happened a few months ago. The entire idea of Dakota Bread happened during this pandemic, which is crazy. And during this pandemic is when the entire community stood up and said, we are here with you, and they made this happen. So, you know, where the challenging times of COVID is crazy and difficult, and we continue to pray for all of those who are not well right now and hope that we end this craziness. At the same time, thank God, we've got to keep going. We can't get depressed and kind of slow down. And instead we sped up, and it's all meant to be. But thank God we have Dakota Bread, and it's already giving young adults with special needs an amazing opportunity and bringing our community together, which is part of our mission.
Do you still sit back and think, how did this happen? Like if they came to you 6 months ago to talk about taking over Dakota Bread, would you have been like, no?
Totally.
But to have it happen so quickly in the middle of a pandemic.
Crazy.
Kind of a miracle, right?
A real miracle, for real. Like, no doubt.
So with that, just another minute or two with you here on the Megacast. What do you want the public to know that about you and your organization and the people that you're serving?
That I personally and my family would join me in saying this, and our staff would join me. And I believe everyone that has the opportunity to have a meaningful relationship with an individual with special needs, I really would encourage everyone, bring some more meaning into your life. Learn what it means to look at somebody without judgment, and learn to have unconditional love towards somebody. The blessings and the true inner sense of fulfillment that you will feel by having that connection and that relationship will hopefully, I believe, translate and help you in other parts of your life. So every single person that is in this world for a reason. Every single person was created for a unique purpose and mission. And individuals with special needs continue to teach hundreds and thousands of people that allow them in their world. So all of you businesses, I would really also recommend, think about hiring somebody with special needs to your team. You will make your place a better place to work, a more successful place to work. So that's really my message to share.
You know, with that, you mentioned the individuals with special needs themselves, but what does this mean to the family members?
if I could put myself in their shoes, which I know you can't, but I would imagine, just think about my own children, when somebody really brings my child into their life and really appreciates them for who they really are and respects them for who they really are, what kind of joy that brings to us parents. So I could just imagine that having a child with special needs, possibly years ago, and maybe even still, might bring some, discomfort or concern, or not sure how they're going to be accepted in the world. I'm sure this is something that is vital to their existence, to know that hopefully more and more people are learning about the incredible importance and of having people with special needs in your world. And I hope more of us realize that and actually take steps to bring them in, because it's for our sake as well as for theirs.
Well, it is so great the work that you and your team members are doing over there to make the world a better place. I've been by Dakota Bread since our last conversation. It is amazing. There are few things better than freshly baked bread. So Thank you to you and your team, and we hope that you continue to grow and to thrive during this time as well.
Thank you so much for having me.
So we are going to take a quick break here on the Oakland County Megacast. Still another hour of the show to go and several more guests to be speaking to. You're listening to and watching the Oakland County Megacast.
Michigan, we're calling on you to save lives. Don't ignore it. Don't let it go to voicemail. It's urgent. In fact, it's critical. Because if you've been in close contact with someone who tests positive for COVID-19, you may have been exposed to the virus. And you could get a call from My COVID Help or your local health department. So please answer the call to learn how to protect yourself, your family, and friends. We're calling on you to stop the spread of COVID-19, to make it safe to reopen businesses and help Michigan move forward. So if you get a call from My COVID Help or your local health department, you may have been exposed to someone with COVID-19. To protect us all, answer the call. Learn more at michigan.gov/contain-COVID. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jonae Khaldun. I'm the Chief Medical Executive for the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. The people who are at highest risk of getting severely ill from COVID-19 are the elderly and those with chronic medical conditions. That includes people with heart disease, diabetes, COPD, or those who have compromised immune systems. People who are in those categories should right now be staying at home as much as possible and not going out if it is not essential. If you fit into one of those categories, those are the things you should do. And if you have a family member who fits into one of those categories, you should be checking in on them and making sure they are following those guidelines. There's something everyone can do to protect the community from COVID-19.
Just after 11 o'clock here on the Oakland County Megacast, you can catch us on 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake, 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. As we had mentioned last week on the show, some of the religious schools, Catholic schools, are in the process of suing the state of Michigan after they were put on a pause. High school students here in the state of Michigan being told that they have to remote learn. Some Catholic schools, as well as their families, believe that is a violation of their rights. To talk a little bit more about this, let's bring in Brian Broderick. He's the executive director for the Michigan Association of Non-Public Schools. He joins us on the phone on the Oakland County Megacast. Brian, thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Good morning.
So tell us, just fill us in from the beginning, for those not familiar with this lawsuit. Give us the background.
So just as a quick background, MANS, the Michigan Association of Non-Public Schools, is an association of Catholic, Lutheran Missouri Synod, and Christian Schools International. It's a K-12, all the K-12 schools that are within those constituencies. Our board a few weeks ago met after the November 15th order was issued. Our board met and said that they were very concerned regarding high schools being closed, and thought that if this continued to move forward in that closure, that we would need to bring a lawsuit. And so the board decided to take a look at the issue. A number of schools, and they were listed as plaintiffs, were interested in filing as plaintiffs to start the lawsuit, along with parents from their schools. And really, what it's all about is we believe that our schools want to continue with their COVID-19 preparedness and safety plans. They've been effective. We've been able to safely educate students. And it's really a constitutional right, our ability to form students consistent with their constitutional religious liberty. So we think that the closure of the schools violates that. We know that we can do what we've been asked to do and have been doing really since August to prepare to have schools safe for all students.
So with that, do some of the schools actually have students attending in person right now?
Well, not right now, because they're all following the order from the state of Michigan. So nobody is in person right now at any high school in the state, or they shouldn't be anyway. So we are.
But what about the lower grades? Not just the high school, the lower grades.
K through 8 is open. I think most of the schools that are part of our association are open for K through 8 schools, but high schools are closed.
And why I know from the state standpoint, they're saying high school students are more likely to spread the virus than the younger kids. Is that playing into any part of your argument within the lawsuit at all?
Well, we're not making that argument whether that's true or not. Our concern is that the order that was issued by the state really is just full of exceptions. You can't go to a religious high school to get formed in your faith or religious training, but you are allowed to go out and do all sorts of different secular activities, like go to the shopping mall, go to Target, go to get your hair cut, go to get a tattoo. There's all these things that are out there that the state says you're allowed to do that are secular, but you're not allowed to partake in religious schooling. And even within the order itself, there are exceptions for certain parts of education. So if you're an English language learner, if you are a special ed student, or if you're in the career and tech track with high school, so sort of like vocational ed, you're allowed to have in-person education. None of those areas are constitutionally protected the way that religious liberty is. And so we feel that our schools, which have been able to do all the state requirements and mandates successfully, should be allowed to be open if they so choose to allow for religious education.
So with that, where does the lawsuit stand right now?
It is actually, there's a hearing today at 1 p.m. in the Western District, Federal Court in the Western District of Michigan in Kalamazoo. It's a hearing for a temporary restraining order. Both sides have, filed their briefs. In fact, the U.S. Department of Justice filed a brief in support of our claim that this is a religious liberty issue and that religious schools should be allowed to stay open.
So with that, since the pandemic has began and so many schools, public schools, have had to shut down or offer remote learning, have you seen an increase in enrollment in some of your schools across the state?
Yeah, it's tough to say. I mean, there has been, in certain parts of the state, there has been an increase. In other parts of the state, there has not, or it's remained flat. It just really depends on where you're at. I think the biggest factor that is playing into enrollment, at least at our faith-based private schools, is the economy. So wherever we saw students come in because we were able to offer in-person learning, we probably lost a fair amount of students because of parents losing their jobs or having their income greatly reduced, and thereby unable to pay tuition. So it's sort of a wash, I think, for as many students as may have come in. We've probably lost students as well. And in addition, there are parents out there, and they are concerned, and they don't want their student to be in person, and so they would, opt for a remote learning setting, which is perfectly understandable. One of the points that we're trying to make with our high schools is that we just want the option, and the autonomy to be open when conditions warrant it, or to even offer a hybrid type learning environment, which many of our schools had been doing. They've been doing, half the population would come in, a couple days a week, and the other half would come in the other part of the week. And so that's really what we're looking for in this lawsuit, is just that ability to make the decisions based on how the local community and the local infection rate looks.
So with that, if I'm a parent that can't afford to send my child to one of your schools, they may be arguing, why should you get a special treatment? Your response to that?
Yeah, I don't know that it's special treatment. I think it's constitutionally protected treatment. So the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution guarantees the right to and freedom to practice religion. The religion that is part and parcel of a faith-based high school is important and is part of the reason why parents choose to send their child to a faith-based high school. And we don't believe that the state can sort of indiscriminately say that's not allowed, but other secular activities are allowed. It doesn't really seem consistent, and it just is basically a violation of constitutional religious liberty rights.
So with that, is there an issue too about them not getting the proper education remotely that you believe plays into this as well?
No, I think our schools have been doing the remote learning, and it's been successful. But there are certain things within a religious education that you really can't do remotely, or it's really sort of ineffective to do remotely. There are just a lot of certain concepts within religious education that are sort of sacrosanct to religious education. It can't carry out in an online format. There are elements. These are the elements that are implicit in the reason why parents send their children to religious schools, is to get that culture, religious culture, concepts like redemption and reconciliation and salvation. There are certain things within the Catholic tradition, such as receiving the Eucharist, a reconciliation, that you need an in-person format to be able to carry out. And what we're really asking for across all of our faith-based schools is to say, let the local school make that determination as to whether or not they can offer the classes in person or remotely, or do both, do a hybrid, and not just close down the entire system of faith-based religious high schools.
So Brian Broderick with us here on the Oakland County Megacast. He's the executive director for the Michigan Association of Non-Public Schools. Do you want to talk a little bit about any possible outbreaks? The state is now tracking outbreaks in schools across the state. How are some of the non-public schools that you represent doing in that regard?
They're doing quite well. We have data across our constituencies, and I'll point to an example. For instance, the Catholic Diocese of Lansing, they report an infection rate of less than 1.6% for all 35 of its schools across 10 different counties, and that's since August. In the Archdiocese of Detroit, which is a larger group and more schools, the infection rate among its student population through early December was just over 1%. So, there is an infection rate. No one's denying that, but it's been minimal, and it's really because of the great work that our schools have been able to do with all of the requirements, the masking requirements, the social distance requirements, the cleaning requirements. And the point of it is, and a lot of people will say this, is that being in school is probably safer than it is, especially for any student, but really high school students who are more mobile. Being in school is probably safer than being out in the general community. In school, you've got kind of a contained environment, and you have adult supervision to make sure that all these requirements are being met. So we know that we have the ability to do it. Now, where there have been cases or outbreaks, they've been immediately acted upon. I know that there are some schools that have gone to a remote learning for the entire school because of an outbreak. I know that there are classes and classrooms might have been sort of taken offline or grades taken offline based on contact tracing reporting. So we think that we've been able to do a really effective job of making these decisions at the local level, and we want to be able to continue to do that.
Brian, just another minute or two with you here on the Oakland County Megacast. We've had other entities, we've seen other entities and associations sue the state over the issue of shutdowns and, stricter restrictions for some entities versus other entities. So far, they have not been successful in their arguments within the courts. Do you think you'll have a different outcome?
I think so, and it's largely based on our claim is really based on constitutional grounds, on First Amendment grounds. I know that the other groups, like the most recent ones, the Michigan Restaurant Association, I know that the gymnasiums have filed claims. They have all been based on sort of economic impact, which is important, but it doesn't carry, I guess, for lack of a better term, the same weight as violating a constitutional prohibition. Our position, or what courts typically do when they look at these issues, is that they would examine issues based on different standards. We believe a constitutional claim like we're making based on the First Amendment requires strict scrutiny to be paid to whatever orders come out of the state. I think when you're talking about the restaurants and some of these other secular businesses, the standard is more a rational basis. So does the state have a rational basis for making the order that they did? We think that standard will be looked at a lot closer when you're violating somebody's right to practice their religion.
So you mentioned that there is a hearing today at 1:00. Do you anticipate a judge making any type of emergency ruling today or even this week?
It's possible that he would today. Our counsel told us, though, it's probably not likely, and we probably hear something later this week.
Okay, Brian. Brian Broderick with us here on the Oakland County Megacast. He's the executive director for the Michigan Association of Non-Public Schools. We appreciate your time and allowing us to have this conversation with you and to expand on the topic so that people understand exactly where you and your group members are coming from.
I appreciate the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We're going to take a quick break here on the Oakland County Megacast. When we come back, Jamie Clayton, she's the president and CEO for the Oakland Family Services, will be joining us on the Oakland County Megacast.
This may seem uncomfortable, but so is being hooked to an IV, sleeping in a hospital bed, and fighting for your life. When it comes to COVID-19, comfort is not as important as saving lives. Wearing a mask can greatly reduce the chance of spreading the virus. So mask up, Michigan, every time you leave home.
Hi, my name is Kurt Lawson, and I'm the Public Information Officer for West Bloomfield Township. We wanted to reach out to you, our older adults, to provide information that you may find useful during this difficult time. We want to ensure you that West Bloomfield Town Hall, our Waters and Utility Department, West Bloomfield Parks, and our police and fire departments continue to work hard on your behalf. Information and resources can be found on the Township website, the police Facebook and Twitter, or call West Bloomfield Park's COVID-19 Help Hotline. Please remember to keep your social distance of at least 6 feet, wear facial coverings when you leave your home, and wash your hands for at least 20 seconds with soap. These precautions will help keep you safe during these difficult times.
Great to have you with us on the Monday edition of the Oakland County Megacast. I'm Ronnie Dahl in my home studio while Mr. Tyler Keefe holds things down back at the studio there in West Bloomfield. Just about 40 minutes left in the show. For those that may be tuning in for the first time, you can catch Tyler and I Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. until noon. You can watch and listen on Civic Center TV, Birmingham Area Municipal Access, Channel 15 on Comcast 99 if you have AT&T. You can also tune us into the radio, 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 FM The Biff. And today we also want to say thank you to the West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce for allowing us to live stream today's edition of the Oakland County Megacast on their Facebook page. As we have mentioned before, so many people right now continue to struggle with mental health issues during the COVID-19 crisis. There is help out there. You just need to ask for it. Joining us now on the Oakland County Megacast is Jamie Clayton. She's the president and CEO for Oakland Family Services. Great to have you on the show again.
Hi, thank you for having me back.
For those not familiar with your organization, do you want to give us a little bit of background?
Sure, thank you. So Oakland Family Services is a family service nonprofit. We provide prevention, education, and treatment. So we really do a full spectrum of services from early childhood through preschool services, home visiting. We do foster care and adoption. And then the piece that you just mentioned, we do behavioral health treatment. So we provide both mental health and substance abuse treatment services for children through older adults. We've been around 100 years this year, so we can mention that at the end, but we've been serving all of Oakland community for a long time.
Wow. And have you seen the increase in need for your services during this time?
You know, it's really an interesting time because we know there is an increased need. We're starting to see it trickle in, but also in my work, so for behavioral health, for mental health services, we don't just take Medicaid, we also take all the commercial insurances. And so people right now are really hedging their bets on if they can afford co-pays and deductibles for things like mental health service, if they don't know if their jobs are going to be there, or they may already have been laid off, or in the holiday time, their income is down and they're trying to save dollars. So we've seen a little bit in dip in services because of the pandemic, yet increased calls and demand. It's the follow through that sometimes is questionable. We saw this back in 2008 during the financial crisis also, kind of people don't see taking care of their mental health as a priority as they balance it against their economics, even though we know it is. And then all of a sudden, kind of the floodgates open and people start getting the help that they need.
So if someone is laid off from their employment, does their health care continue? Or does that get shut off too? Or it just depends on the company? Yeah,
it depends on the company. So like at Oakland Family Services, we've done layoffs, but they've been temporary. So in the past, not currently, we've been able to maintain somebody on their benefits. So it's really an agreement between a company and their insurance provider, what contract they have. You know, people who are laid off have access to Medicaid, and we do sliding fee for people who don't have insurance. The people who we see that tend to wait are people who have insurance, but don't know that they have the money for their deductibles or co-pays, which a lot of people don't understand that a provider like Oakland Family Services, we're not allowed to waive somebody's co-pay or deductible because your insurance is a contract between you and your insurance provider. So say Blue Cross, for example, that's an agreement you have with whoever you have purchased that insurance from regarding what you pay for your co-pays or deductibles. So we may have some leeway to say, well, you're in crisis, we're going to see you today, you can pay us next time, but we can't waive those fees completely. So, but we really try and talk with people about, you know, this is one of the most important things you can do. It's the same as seeing a doctor or getting your prescriptions, because if you don't take care of your mental health now, it could be a bigger issue later. So it's really about getting people to understand where this can fit in with the unfortunate economics of today.
I worry about this time of year. It can be hard for people with depression going into the holiday season, but now we're adding a pandemic on top of it.
Absolutely. We talk all the time about how, There's this feeling that the holidays are this wonderful time of year, which for the majority of people they are. However, if you are someone who is struggling with a mental health issue, depression or anxiety, or a substance abuse issue that can be very isolating, the holidays in and of themselves, as you say, are very difficult. Maybe you have issues with family, or you don't have family, or just the stress of what is, expected of all of us at the holidays, being happy, showing up, all of the stuff that goes with it can be very difficult in a normal time. So yes, now layer on the pandemic. So if you did think you're going to see your family, maybe you're not, or you have to make difficult decisions about not doing the things that you would normally do. The increased sense of isolation and despair that a lot of people are feeling as this is extended so much further definitely is amplifying what we see on both the mental health and substance abuse fronts. I don't like to leave that substance abuse piece out because it's so important. And overdoses are up, substance use is up. So we have to look at all of that in light of both the holidays and the pandemic, and how do we reach out and provide people access to treatment and the supports that they need.
There has definitely been the argument on the flip side of COVID-19 and the virus, the side that's not really being talked about or factored into some of these statistics is what you just mentioned, the overdose and the substance abuse.
Yeah, I think a lot of times because of the stigma that comes with substance use disorders, it gets left off. We talk about it in terms of behavioral health. So that encompasses someone's mental health and substance use. Most people who have a substance use disorder have a co-occurring mental health issue. They often go hand in hand. But the isolation and not having as much access to community meetings or treatment, and those are things that are more misnomers because those things really are out there during the pandemic, have added to those issues. And if you think about what was one of the number one things being talked about before the pandemic as it related to behavioral health, it was the opioid crisis. That was splashed everywhere. And all of a sudden you're not hearing about that anymore. Well, I'm here to tell you that didn't go away because the pandemic happened. It went undercover. And so if anything, some overdoses went up. People were more isolated, or they were doing their substances on their own where, they couldn't be revived in the same way by the group of people that they normally used with. So those are still serious issues for our community to contend with.
Yeah, I remember in the beginning, there was all this public training and community training for Narcan, and there was a lot of talk, and it has pretty much gone away.
Right. And so we trained all these people up on Narcan, and then people are sitting at home using heroin or shooting drugs versus doing it in a group of people or with access to someone else who might know if they've overdosed to call somebody who's trained to give Narcan. So we keep just kind of beating the drum that, support groups are happening online. And actually, ever since the stay at home, they were considered an essential activity, and they started back up fairly quickly. And we're providing the full spectrum of substance abuse treatment still virtually. So there is treatment out there. And then, and we can talk too, the state has offered some crisis lines and some access to other vehicles to get support if you don't feel you're ready for treatment or you can't afford it. So there's lots of help out there. It just takes us to continue to talk about it.
When you're talking about some of the virtual community meetings, are people taking advantage of that? Because there could also be it's one thing to say, hey, maybe I can sneak away and go to a meeting.
Yeah.
But if you're stuck at home and you can't sneak away for that meeting, could they be skipping it?
So it works both ways. We see it on both sides, right? So I think what you're saying is absolutely true. And what we're hoping and encouraging for those people is that there are still community meetings happening. So don't stop going. On the flip side, one of the advantages, a lot of people with substance abuse disorders have been in the system for a while and they've lost their driver's license or they don't have access to good supports and transportation. And virtual services have really changed the game in that sense because they don't have a reason that they can't log on to the computer. I think overall confidentiality and comfort with virtual services is something that we have to keep doing education on. It's something we've helped our staff with. We have concerns when it relates to domestic violence, right? Treatment was a way for people to be out of their homes particularly women, talking about abuse at home. Now they're kind of stuck at home with their abuser, and they're not going to like go in a bedroom and log on the computer and talk about that. So in those situations, we're still able to offer face-to-face services with all the safety protocols that would be needed. The same thing with substance abuse treatment. If there's someone not benefiting from virtual, we will arrange to do face-to-face services. I think people are weary of that because, you know, you're in an office, it's a closed office, they're not all 6 feet apart. And if you think about wearing a mask during treatment, it takes away all of the, you know, nonverbal cues that we're used to. So it's a real balance, but we don't want anyone who needs a service to not get it. And so we're really committed to figuring that out on an individual basis.
So we talked about the people needing your services. How is your staff doing during all of this?
You know, I will admit it's hard. It's a struggle. We are working really diligently to support staff and help them feel connected. We're very excited. We won for our 7th year in a row, a top workplace in Michigan through the Detroit Free Press. And part of that's about our culture. And we have put a whole, you know, strategy in place for supervisors supporting staff. It was daily for months and months until the stay at home, and now it's weekly update. So we're keeping staff really plugged in and really informed. But we've also really understand that work-life balance is so difficult right now for everybody. We've got staff who have kids at home learning virtually. People who are stuck at home with their spouses, when you say that, everyone like cringes like it's a great thing, but at the same time, people like some time away. And so it adds an extra layer of stress. Just how are people, you know, therapists and clinical staff and people in foster care and adoption that have to support people who need it most, how do we also make sure they're taking care of themselves? So we're offering alternative work times and schedules. You know, a lot of clients want to be seen at weird times of the day, early or late or after work. So we support staff taking some time off in the day if they need it, or working 4 days and not 5. And then we have some really creative staff who weekly do like activities, scavenger hunts, trivia, just things to keep people plugged in socially and feeling good, because you miss that connectedness when you're not in the office as well, that makes a culture thrive and advance. So I'm worried about the staff every minute of every day, Ronnie. It has changed the whole focus of what a CEO does. I can't, you know, but we're doing really well with that. And we have EAP services, so employee assistance services. If we have staff who are also struggling with their own mental health or adjustment to the pandemic, we refer them out to get counseling too, because there's no stigma for helpers to get help. We all need it.
So with that, can you talk a little bit more about foster care and adoption? I definitely think that's one arena during this entire pandemic that really hasn't been brought up to mainstream or to the public at all.
Yeah, and people may have seen, I think it was last week, there was an article in Bridge that got picked up by a lot of people. So many of us that do child welfare are very concerned. The number of referrals for kids with abuse and neglect is down about 50% right now. So if you think about that, who reports abuse and neglect the most? Teachers, people in the school system. So with virtual learning, we've really seen a switch in people being at home and those referrals not happening in the same way. I don't have an easy answer for that. What I can tell you is that with the Department of Health and Human Services guidance, our staff are continue to do face-to-face visits with birth families and foster families. We just came off a month of doing enhanced recruitment. Finding foster families during a pandemic is really difficult. So if you think about it, who's looking to open their home to children they don't know in a system they're not familiar with, who could have COVID? But we do still have kids in the system, coming in the system, that need safe and loving homes while we work with their parents. We strongly believe in reunification. Most parents want to have their children back. They didn't wake up one day thinking it was a great day to abuse or neglect their child, right? It's a whole host of things that happens to get people in the system. So we really work towards reunification when we can. And if not, we're working towards adoption. A lot of adoptive parents come from being foster parents. So we still really need that to happen. And we're really encouraging people who have eyes on kids, whether it be through Zoom family get-togethers, extended family get-togethers, or other types of contact, to report abuse and neglect if you think it might be happening. We don't want those kids to get lost in the system and then suddenly the pandemic to end and we're flooded with situations that we have to unwind because we weren't able to manage them during the pandemic. It is a real concern.
How do you do home visits right now?
So our staff are trained up on safety protocols. They all have PPE. We're providing that for them. We have put kind of the standard health attestations that people are used to now when you go into a doctor's office or some other visit that asks you, have you been in contact with anyone with COVID? Do you have any new symptoms? We've made that electronic. So our staff who come into our building or who are going into the community in homes have to answer that for themselves. If there's any yes, I get that immediately. They're not allowed to go to that visit and we explore, is it a mistake? Were you really exposed? Do you need to go get tested? And then on the same side, families have to complete those before we come to the visit. Any concerns, we don't do the visit, we refer them to their doctor. And then during the visit, we're doing physical distancing, of the 6 feet minimum, since we know now with aerosolization, it can be even more than 6 feet, and everybody's got to be masked up. So if a family won't wear a mask, then our staff are allowed to call a supervisor and get some guidance. We've had very limited problems with that. Most foster families and birth families want to see their kids. They want to be on a road to having their family reunited, and they comply with these same safety factors. Everybody out there is worried about it. And if a family does not want us in their home, then that's something we try to work out. There are some conditions by which we can still do virtual visits, but we do know that those visits are really crucial to helping ensure that kids are safe.
Jamie Clayton with us here on the Oakland County Megacast. She's the president and CEO for Oakland Family Services. Jamie, a little bit earlier, you did touch on your 100th anniversary. What's ahead for 2021?
Yeah, so we're super excited. I'm not sure there's that many nonprofits that can say in one iteration or another they've been around for 100 years. And so the 2021 is our 100th. And what's so exciting is we've never really strayed very far from the original mission when the agency started as the Children's Aid Society of helping families build brighter futures, families that need us most. And again, I think there's a misnomer that it's just families who are in poverty or living below the poverty line. We help all families. We take insurance. We have families that get developmental assessments that are, doing very, very well. We just want to help families that have issues, solve them, and whatever that future might look for them, have that be brighter. And so we have a whole year of activities planned. We're going to have some different fundraisers and celebrations. We're going to be doing a whole social media campaign, interviews with staff and clients and board members, highlighting the 100th, and really launch into an exciting celebration of being around this long, but looking to the future. This pandemic is real proof that we'll be here for 100 more. Very excited.
Wow. And just imagine how many people you've been able to help through all those decades.
Yeah, it's really something. When we talk about touching the lives of about 40,000 people a year now. So yeah, when you multiply that all out and think about our touch, and then really when you know that you've touched and helped a family, you can also add some exponential change that happens just from that. So I know we continue to do good in the community, and I just can't wait to continue to celebrate that and show how we're going to be here moving into the future.
Well, we wish you the best of luck and want to say thank you too from the entire community for providing your services. I think here's one of the good things that may come out of this crisis. So many organizations like you and your team, you're getting the recognition and your services are being sought. Yeah. So it's okay to seek help. And if anything, that's the one thing I think that's coming out of COVID.
Well, and thank you for highlighting that and for having the vision to know that the more we talk about it, the more people will access it, the less stigma there is, the more we normalize that we all have tough times. And some of us just need some help to get through it. So thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you again for being on the show. We appreciate your time. And again, best of luck on the next 100 years.
Thank you.
Jamie Clayton with us, President and CEO for Oakland Family Services. Anyone out there struggling during this time or any time, please pick up the phone to ask for help. It is okay to do so. We're going to take a quick break here on the Oakland County Megacast. Just about 20 minutes left in the show, and we'll round out the show talking with the Director of Business and Careers for JBS Human Services. This is the Oakland County Megacast.
As rivals, we don't always see eye to eye.
Like who scored the best recruits?
Who's gonna be who?
And whether we wear green
or blue.
But one thing we can all agree on to help stop the spread of COVID-19. Wear a mask.
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 The ball's in your court, Michigan.
Michigan, we still need to stay careful because we don't want to go backwards. Back to where we started. So keep standing 6 feet apart. Keep wearing a mask in public. And if you have symptoms, talk to a healthcare provider about getting tested. To move forward, let's all do our part. So stay careful. Michigan.gov/coronavirus.
Thank you for sticking with us on this Monday morning. I'm Ronnie Dahl here in my home studio while Mr. Tyler Keith holds down things back there at Civic Center TV in the studio in West Bloomfield. Another organization that has been around doing so much good for the community since 1914, the JBS Human Services. And joining us now on the Oakland County Megacast is going to be Jason Charnas. He's the Director of Business and Careers. Just about 20 minutes left in the show, Jason. I would imagine you and your team are extremely busy right now.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, they're due to this pandemic, forget about everything else that's been going on, unemployment, furloughs, layoffs. Our team is busy working with anybody and everybody looking for employment. It's really the core of what our team here does.
So with that, do you want to give us some background on your organization for those that maybe haven't heard of JBS?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're a Southfield-based nonprofit and established in 1941. Really, our goal is to help people to maximize their potential. And we do that through a variety of programs, a variety of services, and really engaging with 3 different types of individuals. Job seekers, which is a big part of what my department does, and we can talk about in a little bit. Seniors, as well as people with disabilities.
Unemployment is through the roof right now because of the pandemic. So it could be a hard enough time for regular people to get jobs. I know that you focus on those that are harder to place. What's it been like? Is it more of a struggle for you right now?
So our staff, fortunately for us, are really, really experienced in helping people find employment. And we do that through a variety of things. We can help people with resumes and cover letters, help them through networking, help them to connect to people we know that may help with informational interviews, getting people experiences. But finding employment today, if you found yourself unemployed in March or April or more recently due to COVID or any other factors, finding employment is different today than it was 5 or 10 years ago. And it's not just about mailing a resume to an employer and hoping you find employment, but there's so much more that our staff are really, really great at walking people through that process.
So do you want to give us some of those tips? And really for anyone out there, right?
Anyone and everyone. Great tips I can provide. Number 1, a resume is one part of the tool. We get calls from people that have been applying for jobs, trying to find employment. Their resumes look good, but a resume, like I said, is just one part. A big part of finding employment is through networking, through your connections, through people's connections, not just sending a resume to an organization, to a business and hoping that you get an interview, but seeing a way that your connections through LinkedIn or any other people you know may be able to get you an in. It's really about making those connections. Statistically, over 80% of people are finding employment, not just through applying, but through networking. And so we really want to help people to focus on networking as a means to employment.
So, and Jason, with that, because you hear about people who, will go through these job sites like Indeed or Monster, whatever else is out there, and they just keep sending the same resume. And sometimes when you don't get any response, I think I heard once, is because you have to match your resume to keywords that show up in that job posting. Is that still the case?
Absolutely, and it depends a little bit on the type of business you're applying for, but we call it the spray and pray method, right? You send out hundreds of resumes through LinkedIn, you don't change a thing, and you hope that you're going to get an interview, you hope it's going to lead to a job. And while that may lead to employment for some people, that's not the best or most efficient use of your time. So yes, you want to tailor your resume, tailor your cover letter specifically to the job you're applying for. It's not about quantity, it's about the quality that you're doing. Bigger organizations, bigger businesses that are using tracking systems to select the resume to interview, they're using and looking at keywords and making sure the keywords in their job description are included meaningfully in your resume. And so that's a really important piece, but a cover letter is important, but getting that resume to be looked at by the right person. And so if it means you're connected to somebody who used to work at that business or somebody who currently does, who can forward your resume to the hiring manager, to the HR professional, to that recruiter, that makes a big difference.
So is it appropriate for a person to maybe go on LinkedIn and find people that work for that company and you don't know them, but reach out to them directly or get their contact and send it to them even though you don't know them?
So you can try that. I don't think you'll have a lot of success. Your best bet at that point in LinkedIn is to look to see if you have somebody who is directly connected to that person. Ronnie, if I know somebody is applying to work at Civic Center TV, and they call me up and say, Jason, do you know anybody who works at Civic Center TV? I may say, you know what, I did this great interview once with Ronnie, and let me talk with her. Let me put you in touch with her. She can tell you about the organization. She can give you information about the job. And then maybe she'll feel comfortable passing that resume on to the person who is doing the hiring. That's going to be much more effective than somebody you've never met sending a resume directly to you or reaching out and saying, help, I want to find a job at your organization.
So if you don't have an in, what should a person do?
You know what, there is still an opportunity by sending in a resume and a meaningful cover letter. And in that cover letter, it's not just to reiterate the information in your resume. What makes you stand out? Why are you so passionate about this? If you can share a little story in that cover letter that gets you noticed, that makes it's not just somebody who's reiterating that same information that those HR folks are reading over and over. That's going to be a great piece. Follow organizations, follow businesses on social media. What's important to them? What are they posting about? What are they thinking about? What are they doing right now? Those are great ways to really get to know a business. You can get to know what they're focusing on and include that in the resume. It doesn't hurt ever to reach out by phone or by email directly to the HR person if you can figure out who they are. But again, connecting with people and networking with people is going to be the best shot that most people have at finding that type of employment.
This is always such a great conversation because we have so many people right now finding themselves in this boat. But what about if you just need to pay the bills? Is it okay to be underemployed?
You know what? Underemployed, if for people that need income, need to pay bills, need to keep the lights on, need to keep the heat on, absolutely. And we have programs for people that are underemployed or that are facing long-term employment. And so statistically, long-term employment is looked at 6 months or more. So a lot of people right now are facing long-term unemployment. We have a great internship program at JVS that's called our New Experiences Internship. It's an internship for people that have been facing long-term unemployment or underemployment. Typically, they're people that have been unemployed for a year or more. And what it does is it allows us to hire interns to work at other businesses, other organizations. It's a 10-week internship, 40 hours a week, where they can receive a salary of $13 an hour. And what that does for them is it provides an opportunity for individuals to have recent, meaningful work experience. When you start applying for jobs, no matter how long you've been unemployed, the longer that length of unemployment, the more difficult it is. Employers pause. Is there a reason you're unemployed that long? Why have you been unemployed that long? And people's confidence in themselves decreases with the length of unemployment. Do I still know how to work? Can I still do this? Do I have those relevant skills? So what this internship allows us to do is provide people with hope, with recent experience that then helps them to put that on a job application, allows them to put recent experience on a resume so that when they go for that next opportunity, they know they can do it. They know they've done it. They have a positive reference that is relevant and recent, and get somebody that next step to what we hope will be long-term employment and long-term opportunities.
That's all such great advice. So so many people right now, you're not doing and going to the typical recruiting events. They may be doing things via Zoom, some of these companies, or interviews via Zoom, but it's not the same. Any advice in that arena?
Zoom, whatever the virtual interview is, can be really challenging. It's hard to talk with people in this two-dimensional world. It's hard to see body language on both sides. So you've got to really try hard. It's important to do your research. People think, I can write all of the answers down to every possible interview question and I can post them all over my screen. But that doesn't help, because then it looks like you're reading an answer to a question. But the preparation is still important. You want to test the technology in advance. You want to know who you're going to be interviewing with. A follow-up thank you note still is important. Does that have to be a handwritten note card? It's great if that's what you want to do, but a follow-up email within 24 hours of your interview to anybody and everybody you've been interviewed by says a lot. And mailing a card today is difficult because I could mail a card to your office, but you may not be working from there or ever collecting it. And it'll sit in that mailbox for weeks or months till you're back to the office. So today I would actually recommend a follow-up email thanking people for their time. If there's anything you wish you had said or you want to clarify something, what a great opportunity, but follow up always. Lighting matters, right? Angle of your camera matters. Nobody looks good with the camera looking straight up their nose, right? Looking straight on. Body language, you want to show your body, you want to be able to express yourself, and then answer the question. Answer the question the best that you can. Provide examples of whatever that is. And a virtual interview is not easy. An interview can be really stressful, can be anxiety inducing for many people. And we have resources at JVS. We have staff that can do a mock interview with you. In January, we have a mock interview scheduled on a virtual way where people can log into Zoom and we can pair them up with one of our staff to practice their interview skills. But if you've got an interview before then, we'll do it one-on-one. We have webinars set up for people to provide great information on how to prepare for an interview, how to prepare for a virtual interview, how to write your resume, and so much other really relevant and valuable information.
What happens if you have a bad internet connection? Because it happens to all of us.
The if is not even it. We've all had bad interview connections. I've been in a meeting and my internet has gone out. I think what you want to do if you're preparing for a virtual interview, whether or not you're going to have or you've ever had bad internet, things happen. And if you can have your cell phone ready to go, and have a conversation with whoever you're interviewing. In the event that my internet goes out, in the event that I have a problem, is there a phone number I can call, or can somebody call me at my cell phone? If it goes out, let me get my cell phone ready to go for a less ideal but still virtual video interview with Zoom on my cell phone, on my smartphone. So to have that software downloaded, installed, ready to go, just in case. And what that also does is it shows the employer that you're thinking ahead. You're going to be prepared for any kind of a situation that may come up, regardless of whether it has. And that shows preparation. That shows that you're really being thoughtful about not just the interview, but the type of employee that you will hopefully be when they hire you.
Jason Sharn is with us here on the Oakland County Megacast. He's the Director of Business and Careers for JVS Human Services. So much good advice that you're giving us right now. But I also wonder, how has the job market changed during the pandemic? Because we are seeing a lot about jobs that are now remote that maybe would not have been before. So should people look outside of their metro area and where they live?
So there are jobs that are remote, and we get people calling us looking for employment, but really specific. Right now, they're only interested in a remote job. For some industries, for some people looking for employment, remote is a possibility. Even if it's a possibility short term, there are businesses that are reevaluating what employment will look like and whether it can be 100% virtual. Right now, my entire team is working in a virtual way. I am so looking forward to having the entire team back in my office and being able to meet the brainstorming, the connections, the quick conversation that leads to a great program idea. For what I've seen still in person is significant. But virtual jobs exist, but it's not a virtual job for everybody. Some people don't have the experience or the confidence or the comfort on a computer. Some people, the type of a job they're looking for simply won't be remote. For people that want a boost in computer skills, we have computer trainings. We have a virtual Microsoft Office training program that we're starting, and we've been running for a long time, but for the first time, it's going to be happening virtually beginning in January. Comfort in Microsoft Office, whether it helps you to get that next opportunity or to find a job in employment, knowing you have the skills and the comfort to do it, can be really valuable.
That is one thing that I think is so important right now, is upping your computer skills, because it has become so vital during the middle of this pandemic.
It really is. And so in addition to this this virtual computer training that we have available, and we have scholarships available for people that would need financial assistance on that, we've also been providing a webinar through the JVS Detroit Facebook page. One of those webinars is called the Modern Toolkit. We recognize technology is important for employment. It's important for the next opportunity, for the next better opportunity, or to simply find an opportunity. And so we've been providing a variety of technology-based trainings, short 20, 30 minutes, where people can get an understanding of the language of that program, understanding of how and why you would use that application, so that you can take that and parlay that into that opportunity. Just one of those webinars that we've really shifted how we've prepared and provided that information, because we can't sit everybody in our computer training classroom and provide it face to face like we used to.
Jason, just about another minute or so with you here on the Oakland County Megacast. So are your services open to everyone or just specific groups?
Our programs and services are open to everyone. So if somebody is looking for employment or knows somebody that is, they can give us a call, 248-233-4245. They can go to the JVS Detroit Facebook page. They can go to our website, jvshumanservices.org. And if they're looking for help with a resume, cover letter, networking, we can work with them one-on-one. We have a program called Career Counseling, which is a really fantastic program for people looking to make a change in careers, a shift, but have no idea how to make that decision or what they might be interested in or good at. And over on average an 8 to 10 week process, we utilize a variety of assessments, looking at skills, interests, motivators, work styles. Our staff help to interpret the results of those assessments to give somebody a career path. We've seen a lot of people saying, this pandemic has thrown a curveball. And so what an opportunity I have now to pause and think about, what do I want to do where I can go to work and be excited, happy, motivated? And so we've seen a real uptick in the career counseling requests, but career counseling isn't for everybody. People that know what they want to do, we can help them also. But if you're unsure or people are unsure, they can always call us directly and we can talk through which program would be best for them.
Well, it's a service so many people need right now. We want to thank you for your time with being with us here on the Oakland County Megacast. That's going to wrap it up for the Monday edition. For all of us here at Civic Center TV, we want to say thank you for tuning in.